Hello, I'm ToycatA, and welcome back to an episode of the Minecraft Bedrock Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the weekly update as to what's been going on both in my survival world as well as life, the universe, and everything in between. And in this 497th episode, wow, that sure is a big number, I figure I'm finally going to explain one of the big questions people had after watching the bone meal flowers for literally 90 minutes, which is what could you possibly do with this many oxide daisies? Nobody needs this many flowers in Minecraft, ToycatA. What could you possibly be collecting them for? And today, you finally get to know the answer to that because I'm taking this alongside some extra blocks. Mostly some grass blocks so that I can obviously place those flowers down inside of where I'm going, which is going to be... I don't know why I enjoy teasing it out this much. I should just say I'm going to the Nether. I have a Nether-based project that involves a lot of flowers, and I don't know if it's going to go well, but that's kind of the way we do things here on this channel. You kind of wing things, and you hope it's good, and if it's not good, then, you know, that's part of playing Minecraft. It's not a part you'll see in every YouTube video, but it's an inevitability. When you make some stuff, sometimes the things are good, sometimes the things are bad. If you pretend that all the things you make are good, then, you know, like, obviously that's not only an unrealistic expectation, but also it's just, you know, like almost a deception. Because here is the deal. I have this lovely overworld that I created in my Nether. It's great. However, one of my biggest regrets is this stone ceiling. Like, I think most of the time I can suspend my disbelief and forget the ceiling, but sometimes I notice it's there, and it's a real problem. So I've wondered, would it look more or less like the Nether if I just didn't make a ceiling? And so given that I've got this little pathway to what should be a brand new biome, what if I made a beautiful flower biome here in the Nether? Because I have this giant area anyway that's kind of, you know, again, you can see here, it's clearly kind of ugly, it's hard to get around. What if we just took this area and covered it in some flowers? Therefore, worst case, you know, we get this lovely second overworld of my Nether, and best case, we get something, you know, really nice to, and in fact, we can look at it while we're going through our ice tunnel, and best case, we get like a brand new beautiful project, and we find out something that I've had a calling for in life this whole time, which is planting down flowers in my Nether, which you never know. The beautiful thing about life is you never know what's going to be your next passion until you do it, and then you realize, oh, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. Or, again, actually, you know, I think a surprising amount of life really is learning by making missteps, and it's weird to think about that way, but I think it definitely is true that, like, yeah, there are so many things you're going to learn better by doing incorrectly than by trying to learn from someone who insists there is a correct way. Because, yeah, that's how things be. So what we're going to do is you're going to learn from my mistake today, or hopefully I'm going to have a revolutionary new build idea, which is what if we had a bunch of flowers in the Nether? And oxide daisies are such a cute little flower too. I just feel like a lovely flower field here would really increase the spirits of the Nether. For some reason, the Nether is such a, you know, a drab place. Everyone's always, you know, down over here. I figured we could fix that with a delightful flower forest, and we'll see if I'm right. Why don't we? So yeah, while we do that, I also, as you all know, the Let's Play is not just a weekly update about the Let's Play, but also a lot of people are curious as to what's been going on in my life. I don't have a vlog series, so yeah, obviously, wow, things are crazy. Have you noticed how time is moving differently right now? This is a unique observation only I have had. But no, so something I actually have noticed is this last week I had something happen to me which, like, I'd always known was like a thing, but like it happened to me twice, and literally it happened literally yesterday to me twice. There was a channel, you might know it, they're really good, they make weird inventions, they call themselves the Terrible Robot Queen, there you go, and so like they're an inventor. It's always interesting to see people who make things, and I remember thinking like, oh yeah, it's been a while since they made videos, like, you know, did they, last I heard they'd had some cancer or something, did that go terribly? I should check up on them. And I was like, oh, they've been making videos, I just haven't been getting them on my homepage, despite being subscribed, because obviously YouTube recommends, you know, what to watch based on that stuff. And this is something every YouTuber mentions at some point, but like this is the time, you know, like most of the time YouTubers complain because it's happening on this end. Like, if you don't find this video, that's a bummer for me because I put time and effort into making it, but it's way more of a bummer, or like it's equally a bummer, maybe less of a bummer, but it's a weird other end of it when it's like, oh yeah, there's this video I would have really loved to watch, but YouTube just kind of guessed that I wouldn't, and and it happened to me twice. Again, it wasn't just that one channel. It happened to another channel where I was like, oh, they've been uploading this whole time, and I've just been not seeing their videos. How very odd and bizarre. Like, it makes you realize that, like, yeah, that's why people need to do, like, big publicity studs. Not to, like, grow themselves further, but, like, just for YouTube to remind their audience they exist. And it's a little bit scary when you think about it that way, that like, oh yeah, so much of the internet is moving at a speed you don't predict. But what's also, should I leave the flowers in there? Let's just keep placing flowers. Well, we'll see if it gets tiring anytime too soon. But yeah, it made me realize that like you know, that it's an issue you have on both ends of like this mysterious YouTube algorithm thing, right? And you've probably heard so many YouTubers complain about it, and the way they usually complain is like something, YouTube algorithm sucks. By the way, that's why you need to hit the bell, smash it so you get notified, etc. But I want to take a different angle today. Rather than trying to preach to you about something that I'm sure you've heard a billion times before, I want to talk about the mysterious end, which is why YouTubers say stuff like that. Have you ever noticed how YouTubers will say things like, oh yeah, make sure you subscribe and make sure you watch all the way through for the algorithm. Maybe, like the video so that the algorithm likes it. These are really interesting things to hear because the way YouTubers talk about the algorithm, even in private, you can see this in their tweets, but this is how they talk about it person to person, is like, yeah, so the algorithm is punishing me for doing a thing that I just did. They'll talk about the algorithm like it is literally a god, because no YouTuber really understands how the YouTube algorithm works. There is a magic black box in YouTube somewhere that decides what videos you should watch, which for you is great because you get to find new videos, but then collectively it's deciding what all of us should watch. And the interesting thing about that magic algorithm is by deciding what all of us watch, it's therefore collectively deciding the success or failure of entire YouTube channels. Again, the fact that I am subscribed to this one person and I did not get recommended their videos that they made that I subscribed for, and it's like, it's no wonder those videos did so much worse than before, because how could they do well if no one could find them, The YouTube is, it pretends to be the largest video site on the internet, but really it's also the world's second largest search engine, the world's largest video search engine, as well as the world's largest video recommendation engine. It can work out what you want to watch before you watch it, but also it has the power to change what you watch because you trust it. And so because of that, lots of YouTubers, it's really weird, almost like, I'd say cult-like, but obviously it's not intentionally that way, but like when YouTubers talk about the algorithm, it's like they're talking about this mystical deity. Like I said, they talk about it like it's a god. The YouTube algorithm is punishing me. The YouTube algorithm is rewarding me for mysterious behaviors I don't fully understand. Oh yeah, make sure you don't do that. The YouTube algorithm hates that. The YouTube algorithm loves when you do this though, and hates when you do that. Why is that? I don't know. It just kind of does. And so I was thinking about why that is. Why do we basically refer to this again, what is effectively a computer program? It's obviously much more complex than that. AI is very, very advanced in this year we find ourselves in. But why is it that we refer to something as like basically, in the same terms we refer to genuine, literal gods in? And so, or, like deities of any form in. And the conclusion I kind of came to was that, yeah, actually, humans are pretty good at understanding a field, like a thing that you give them. Like, oh yeah, I think everyone can vaguely understand there is a computer program that is there. However, when you don't understand the results of your own actions, you have to start to realize there is another force at play. In this case, on YouTube, you can basically get away with blaming nothing on yourself and being like, it's all the YouTube algorithm's fault. And you're not going to be entirely wrong. If you start a new channel and it's not successful, it is in part the YouTube algorithm's fault for not promoting you, right? That is entirely factual. And this is the thing I think we do with a lot of aspects of our life. When something is, I think there's this phrase I really like that's science, that something that is sufficiently technologically advanced is indistinguishable from magic. So when you look at, again, the algorithm, this magic recommendation engine that literally... Is that flower on fire? Can flowers catch fire? Apparently they can. Today I learned. Let's keep the flowers away from fire, shall we? See, look at this, by the way. The ceiling is much higher here, but it's made from netherrack. Maybe I won't notice that in the end. I genuinely don't know. But yeah, magic is indistinguishable from really, rather the other way around. Like, really high-end technology, indistinguishable from magic. When you first see incredibly realistic graphics for the first time, you're like, wow, it's like I'm in a brand new world. And obviously it's not really like that, but just seeing brand new things is kind of scary and new. And so therefore, why is it then that we don't see the YouTube algorithm as a magical box, but instead as literally like a godlike deity that makes and breaks everything? And it's because of the power that the magic entails, or rather, on the other end of things, because that's one great explanation. But I think what's more likely than just the power of it, because again, there's lots of things that have power that we don't understand. I would argue, most people don't understand their own government systems they live under, but you don't see that as magic. You see that as like either a system you don't understand, or like, you know, the kleptocratic elites that control our whole society, depending on which angle you want to take there. But you know, like use some fancy words, and then that's your politics explained, right? But no, I think it's really interesting that we use you know, terms of like gods and stuff, because the difference between, you know, like magic and kind of gods is one that I think kind of reveals a personality trait about you. I think if you hear about a mysterious power and you like to believe it's like magical powers or something, like there is someone out there with magic, then that tells you that you really like the powers that individuals have, perhaps we could say here. Whereas if you hear about something, you're like, yeah, that is again, a mystical deity. This is some power in the sky that makes or breaks our success, and we have to be worthy for it. It helps you to understand that, like, oh yeah, there is a big random event in the universe. Like, will this video do well or not? I genuinely have no clue before uploading it. I assume not, because it's a Let's Play, and Let's Plays aren't the sort of thing that YouTube can share with new audiences. But there is no way of knowing. Like, it is a decision, you know, the decision as to whether this video is successful or not, and therefore whether I did a good day's work today. You know, this is going to be, what is it, over half an hour of pure time alone before the editing, before the uploading, before the thumbnail, before everything else. But I don't know how valuable the algorithm will see that time as until after it's already happened. There is a mystical box that decides, and if you decide that it's magic, then at least you're thinking, oh yeah, it's like this random thing, there's something whimsical about it. But if you decide it's like a powerful deity, then that helps you to like internalize that, like, you know what, it's outside of your control, and that's okay. Someone decides all of this stuff for us, and that's just fine. And I think that is a really interesting lesson in like how humans work to me. It's something I didn't think about until I realized just how much it applies to YouTubers talking about this. Also, you've got to admit, this is looking nice, right? It was I was torn at first, but Oxeye Daisies were a good choice for the Nether. But yeah, as I was thinking about it more and more, it really did start to hit that, like, yeah, we like to have a deity, because when something goes well for us, we don't want it to be random chance. We want it to be something that we did. But also sometimes we need, when something goes bad for us, oh yeah, it is random chance, and it's going to get better soon, because someone, you know, like some person with actual decision powers and responsibility is making that call for you. And, you know, when you apply this to like all of human history, when you look at like super prehistoric human civilizations, not even prehistoric, when you look at like the ones throughout history, you'll see that like some cultures do focus on a single person or a collection of people, like the Roman gods, etc. But and some of them do focus on the like a kind of like a magic being. Like I think the stereotype is Wicca, right? I don't even know how real that is, but like if you think about the starts with a P, the people who invented the winter solstice, I forget what the name is. Pagans, I want to say. But like, yeah, there's much more magic rooting in there. Like, you know, things just kind of be magic. There is so much in the world that is beyond your understanding, and that is beyond even the understanding of humans as a whole. And like, what do we believe about that? And the answer in some cases is like, yeah, let's just believe it's magic. It's so much easier to believe it's magic. Why would we not just do that? And so yeah, I think something you can tell about someone's personality is like, when something bad happens, is it just chance? Is it fate? Is it because you did something bad? Will tell you a lot. And indeed, I think, to go even more wide with that, I think that like there is almost like a needed belief in some people. Because if we discover, like scientists discover, magic is in fact real, and some people are just magically gifted. You know, if you think about a world where, like, I don't know, the X-Men or some other superhero thing turns true, where like, oh yeah, some people just have powers and some people don't. Think about the resentment that would happen for all the people who don't have those powers. You know, I guess actually, even like Harry Potter world, you know, where people have magic. I always used to dream that like, oh yeah, come on, my letter to Hogwarts is coming any day now. I'll be special. I'll be important in some way. And I think it's I think it's really interesting that like, if that was real, imagine just how much it would hurt being like, oh yeah, you're just not magic. There are people who can do incredible things, and you're just not one of them, by pure chances. Whereas instead, the much more like livable theory is like, oh yeah, these people were chosen by insert deity here to do those things. You know, the magic people are chosen by the power up above because he knows what they can do, and you are chosen not to be magic, and there's some great reason as to why. Again, having a reason for everything, even the bad things, is so comforting in life. Like if you've you know, there are so many like terrible things that can just happen that just are random chance if you're looking at them from a scientific viewpoint. You know, like from a... Also, how did the fire spread? How does fire... You know, I don't understand how fire works, is what I've learned from this video. It can go through grass blocks, apparently. I don't want to put it all out, though, but I guess we have to. But yeah, I think the serious amount of resentment would have to come down to, like, yeah, we have to have an explanation for this. And so, yeah, with the YouTube algorithm, you want to claim success when you win at it, but also when it fails, you want to claim there was nothing I could do. It was the YouTube algorithm. It is a it's a fascinating thing to deal with as a creator and to be surrounded by people who deal with it, because at some point it becomes like the only thing these people, that a lot of people can talk about, because again, that is the one driving factor behind their success. In fact, a lot of the time, this is something every YouTuber has some experience with. Your most viewed video is never the video you put the most effort into. Look at any channel, if you don't trust this, look at other channels, pick your favorite channel in any genre. It's very, very rare for there to be like some good overlap between what the... Also, isn't this getting nicer and nicer? I think it is. It's very rare to find overlap between the most effort put in versus the most effort gotten out. And there's lots of ways to explain that in normal terms, like, oh yeah, it's about what people want, etc. But once what people want becomes what a, you know, a magic machine that is trained based on, you know, data quantities that we're not allowed to know, in ways that we're not allowed to fully know. But like, you know, Google assures us that it is a entirely legit way that has nothing to do with like selling ads. It's all just based on the quality of the content. When it starts to change like that, it gets a little bit more suspicious, right? And so yeah, I think that one of the ways you can tell one of the ways you can tell a lot about someone is like, and how they view the world, is how they react to something. If there is an event like that, how they react to it. Again, the people who are... There are some people who will believe that, like, yeah, there are external factors, but it's all about how you bring them into your control. There are terrible things that happen to people every day, but dealing with them is very hard and very important. Or there's the second way you can take terrible things happening, which is like, well, they're random. And, you know, if it happened to you, there's nothing you can do. Everyone's going to say that it's your fault, but it's not your fault. The terrible thing happened to you. And, or you know, like, and vice versa, etc. And it's interesting to look at from that angle. I'm going to go grab some more grass and then come back to the Nether. By the way, doesn't it look beautiful from here? It actually doesn't. It's a little... The angle is a little bit too low to really get any value from this, I would say. You know, I might have to lower the flower fields just for this one benefit. There we go. Let's get some blaze rods in as well. Gonna need those for a future fixer. I'm gonna finish those end rod things soon in my end. I realize I need to, and so this is me making the pledge. I will make a difference. Speaking of pledges and making a difference, I think that you know, we can like take more broad society lessons from that too, right? Like, even like, probably if you look at, I keep using Harry Potter as the example. If you look at, you know, whoever wrote that book or whatever, I think you could probably tell pretty easily that, like, oh yeah, you can see a lot of the author's viewpoint on whoever made that. Like, even the X-Men, I want to say, is the other example I listed, is like, it's an allegory for, I want to say it's a race in the United States, and how like the circumstances of your birth are a key determining factor in a lot of other things, despite that being effectively random. Although actually, you know, is it even random? Like, is the family you're born into random? Is a really interesting question, because it's of course random when you think from your perspective. Like, of course, the parents I have are random. Like, I had no say over that. It's not like a choice that I made, but also they had a say over whether or not to make, you know, like if you think about it from a individual perspective, then of course, like, yeah, there is no choice. But if you think about it from a family perspective, like, people who have, you know, very rich parents are like, well, yes, the rich people did decide to have me, and there's nothing I could do about that. And that, you know, like, that of course they were going to have a child eventually, and like, blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is I think that, you can look at people, and you can look at their, like, takes on, like, random events, and learn a lot, I think. Partially because I think people who are more successful are slightly more likely to attribute the success to their own factors rather than to outside chance. Like, if we assume that every good thing that happens is exactly 50% luck and exactly 50% like, actions by the person, you see the 50% actions by you don't see the 50% luck. But then you also see like people take that the other way and they're like, oh yeah, everything good that happens is down to luck and not down to the thing. If you want to like drag other people down, you can take that the exact opposite way. The reason that people were chosen to be, like rather than going with the whole, oh yeah, it doesn't matter if I was chosen to go to Hogwarts or not. Instead, you could use that as like, oh, some people got really lucky and now they've got magic and unlimited food and stuff. Whereas, the rest of us who have to go to Muggle school, we have to, through no fault of our own, we toil away and it's terrible, and that's why the system is unjust and like it's and that's the exact same thing you see on YouTube. It's the exact same thing you see everywhere, and it makes you realize that like as humans, even though we're like we are very scientifically minded these days, we still do have so many questions outside of our own control, and the question as to whether you believe those systems are like a necessary part of life, or whether they're unjust and can be fixed, is I guess an eternal debate that has no fixed answer, it has no fixed endpoint. I'm so lucky there's not been a gas so far, huh? But it's a debate without a fixed endpoint, or without a fixed anywhere really. But it's something that makes you realize that like, oh yeah, we always like to believe we're so far ahead of the peoples from hundreds of years ago that kept killing each other with swords to prove some arbitrary points for their rulers. Or to spread their religion, or whatever else it is. But on some level, we're not that far removed from like there are random things that happen outside your control every day. What are you gonna do about it? And I don't know if I know an answer to it, because one of the things that terrifies me more and more is I know I've been thinking about it a lot. Whenever I am about to leave my house, as indeed I am right now. Whenever I'm about to like leave for a long time, I really like what it's like to live where I do. I don't want to say I get homesick. I realize all the benefits of living. I realize all the benefits of what I have the moment it's gonna go, right? I wish I wasn't like that. I wish I could appreciate more benefits of things before they were gone. But I'm flawed and I see things that way to some extent. And one of the things about that is I'm about to move house and I'm about to go somewhere entirely different, and I just can't stop thinking about like all the potential random downsides. Because I like cities. I think there's a lot of benefits to them. They've etc. But one of the things about being surrounded by so many people is you're rolling the dice a lot more. The more people there are in your life, because we've been talking about like AIs that are too advanced for us to understand. We've been talking about magic, and maybe even to a lesser extent, like the success of an individual over another. What about like, those things are all vaguely understandable, sure. What about like, oh yeah, there is a random chance that like, oh yeah, there was a worrying rise in acid attacks pre-pandemic. Thank God, but both terror and what is it called, honor-based attacks are down because of this thing right here. But what if just knowing that you're just like rolling the dice about like, oh, roll a d20, hope you don't get 2 ones in a row or something. It's like that is a scary thing to do with regards to your life, right? And that's when you have to realize that like to some extent there are things outside of your control. The only thing you can control is your attitude about things that you can't control. And I've been thinking more and more about like with the YouTube thing in particular. I think I have an inconsistent attitude, and I think everyone has an inconsistent attitude. That like when random things happen that are good, like that is you. When random things happen that are bad, that is not you. And I think it's okay to do. I think taking glory from your own successes, like enjoying a thing that you did that is objectively good or positive or successful, is something we shouldn't shame people away from doing. I'm so like, one of the things that makes me sad is like people from families that are like, oh, you think you're good for just because you like succeeded by objective measurements. Well, you're not better than us just because you went to school and studied hard or have a high paying job. Like the idea of a family that like is like actively harming their children or their or anyone inside the family because, like, you know, they don't want to be seen as inferior to. That is, like, the most toxic thing to me. That is the most, like, painful thing to me. If, like, yeah, not only can these people not be happy for someone in society doing better than them, they can't be happy with their own family doing well. They need to come up with reasons as to why that's garbage and BS, etc. And I think, yeah, if we realized for everyone that, like, oh yeah, just because you think something's lucky that happened to a person, someone I know had a very lucky thing happens with regard to healthcare, I would say, which is like a weird thing that just basically doesn't exist in current times. Am I right? Yeah, topical conversation that won't make sense in a few years. But you know, rather than being like deeply upset, oh, like yeah, they're so you know, like rather than being like, ooh, they only got it because of bad thing, and you know, like they didn't deserve it, etc. Instead, it's just like, yeah, that's cool. You can be happy for other people and also strive for yourself. And I feel like that's a lesson that too many people have missed, and that almost is like instilled into some people and their entire belief system. They're like, yeah, that's how it's gotta be. If you don't shame other people for their successes, they won't know they're terrible people for them. Anyway, yeah, I think what we've done so far here, by the way, is real nice. Do you like it? I am real proud of the fact that we also did the first less than 30-minute Let's Play episode in a long while. Did you like it, or did you feel like it was too short? It seems very weird to talk about sub 30-minute videos as too short, but I want to do the full comparison to the algorithm gods. I don't understand you algorithm gods, but do you want shorter videos for Let's Plays? Is that what I have to do? Because if so, we could just do like double as many, half as long videos, or double as important ones. I don't know. I'm always trying to make sure that I can continue to do my job here on YouTube, and maybe I shouldn't be honest and I should be like, oh, I'm just trying shorter video lengths because people have told me they want to watch less Let's Play. But I think it actually is more watchable now, and I hope you enjoyed it, because if you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. I'm just kidding. Have a nice day, and I'll see you all next week for episode 498. It is getting real high in the numbers now, huh? But see you next time. Goodbye.